She has just authored an unusual book, I think, probably for what people would expect. It's a devotional, and it's called Sweet Freedom. And you may know her as the former governor of the state of Alaska and the former vice presidential candidate with John McCain. All those many years ago now, Governor, in a couple of election cycles. But welcome back, or welcome to the Kevin McCullough microphone. Good to have you.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate the way that you summarize kind of the foundation of this devotional, Kevin, where what I tried to do is highlight from people, too, who maybe are unexpected in terms of their stripes, but they still are faith-filled, and they still, within the culture, the pop culture, are influencing, kind of infiltrating it. I pointed out some of those people in some devotions, and I'm sure some folks may read a couple of devotions and say, what the heck are you giving props to, Alice Cooper or Gene Simmons or, Ted Nugent for? And I'm like, well, A, read the page, but B, we're thankful that they're bold about their faith, and maybe they're reaching part of pop culture that would never be reached in four walls of a church.
Yeah, now you just said something that I think blew half of my listeners' minds. Gene Simmons and faith. Now I have to fess up. My business partner Stephen Baldwin, who I do a lot of things with, he actually has worked with Gene on some television products. And in fact, when we were doing a little demo for our Saturday night syndicated show 8 years ago, Gene agreed to be the interview we did for the little demo thing. So I've had an interesting conversation or two with him over the years. But he's a practicing Christian. Is that the category you'd put him in?
Well, he's bold about his conservative views that do reflect a lot of our Judeo-Christian foundation in our country.
Gotcha.
And I mean, I appreciate that much if that's what we
sure.
can get.
No, absolutely. Well, talk to me a little bit about the design of Sweet Freedom, a devotional. It's put out by Regnery. It's shot straight to #1 on the Amazon best-selling devotionals chart, and congratulations on that. But what made you want to write this type of book?
Well, meeting people all over the country, people who seem quite worried about the tumultuous times we're in. So often, Kevin, they're asking me, and I'm sure they're asking you too, a lot of these good folks are saying, what can we do? Everything that government is trying, the next pop cultural trend that's tried, everything seems to be failing because look at the trajectory of our world today. Things are going down. It's not going well. And I keep telling people, well, the only way that we're going to get our country back on the right track is to be on our knees and rededicate this land and all that we do back to God as our founders had. And then it's not just a matter of just praying about it. We really, really need to take action. God doesn't drive parked cars. He expects us, when he gives us these blessings and gifts and talents and interests and passions, to use them to make things better. So just wanting to write a devotional that is unlike others because we're dealing with real world stuff. Kevin, what I wanted to do was point people to the answers that are amazingly specific in the Old and New Testament. Kevin, we have answers about, well, we can apply it to gun control today, for instance, but about self-defense. We have Jesus in the book of Luke telling his disciples, take up your arms and go defend yourself and don't wait for government to do it. Things like that.
Yeah. Well, there was it's interesting, Governor. We're speaking with Governor Sarah Palin, and I'm grateful for her time. It's very interesting, Governor, because sometimes in discussing things like just war, things like do we fight terrorism, there's often times, well, Jesus was a kind man, and he was very kind. And I said, well, what about that time when he went into the temple and he saw people that were desecrating his father's house, and he made a whip, and he raised his voice, and he kicked them out? How do you deal with that? And usually, Governor, what I get back is a long pause. There's not usually anything that goes into that blank space.
Well, my thinking on that is, my husband Todd, he brought this up to me quite a while ago. He says, why are all these depictions of Jesus, long shiny hair and flowing robes and flip-flops, and is he playing hacky sack with his disciples out there on the beach or something? And Todd says, my God, my Lord is a warrior. Think of the conditions that he had to go through to lead his disciples and to lead people. Look at the conditions that we recognize today in the Middle East, knowing that, okay, Jesus was there. He had to deal with those conditions. He's a warrior. He was a fighter. He did tell his followers to defend themselves. And in Psalm 34, we're told that the face of the Lord is against those who do evil, to blot out their name from the earth. We're allowed to fight back, thank God. Yeah. And we see all throughout the Bible that the good guys did fight back, and ultimately God gave them the victory.
We're talking with Governor Sarah Palin. Her book is called Sweet Freedom. In all disclosure, it is produced by Regnery Faith, which is a subsidiary of the company that owns this broadcast and this radio station that you're hearing this on. But we are grateful that she has joined us today. When you chose your topics, and there's 260 of them, and I get the feeling, Governor, that you're not a woman who's short on words. How did you pick topics and narrow down so that you just got it down to one page on each topic per day?
Well, it seemed impossible to do, believe me. I mean, there's so, obviously, there's so much to say. There's so much personal and political struggle out there and specific issues that we're dealing with. Digging into the Word, again, just amazing to me. And I've been a Christian since I was a little girl, raised in the church and having read the Bible all these years, but really digging into it for this book, it was page after page after page. What I was realizing, that's another answer to, the abortion issue. There's another answer to taxation. We got to pay our taxes. We're commanded to, but we are also commanded to seek justice. And if, say, our taxation system is unjust, then we fight for people who will get into the system and change that unjust system. It was page after page in the Word that I realized this is the perfect blueprint for how we are to live our lives, run our nation, and see the world become a better, safer place.
Yeah. We're talking about the book Sweet Freedom, and you can get it. I've got it linked at thebingethinker.com. You can also get it at the Regnery website, Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, all the normal places that you can get the book. But Governor Palin's best-selling, Amazon top of the list for devotionals, best-selling book called Sweet Freedom. Governor, can we talk a little bit about the elections? I'd love to get your thoughts on a couple of things.
Yes, absolutely. And by the way, I saw you speaking and heard you speaking politically the other night on Fox.
Yes.
And let me tell you, you did great.
Oh, Governor, you're too sweet.
I love the goatee. I love the frame. I didn't even recognize you, to tell you the truth. But after hearing you kind of in the background, I'm like, hey, Kevin.
Yeah, no, it's true. And the thing is, the glasses are new because I'm now officially old. And I tried to shave off the goatee a couple of times, and people are just like demanding that it stick around. So I guess it's becoming my thing. I'm going to be Colonel Sanders here when everything turns white. So
that looks good.
Thank you. All right, Governor Palin. Okay, so we're in an interesting part of the election cycle. I think you'd have to admit we have a much larger field than I think most people anticipated. You've got people from the outside that are doing much better than anyone expected them to this late in the cycle. And even some of them that are surging are not real long-term Washington insiders like Senator Cruz and Senator Rubio. What's your general feeling about where we are in the 2016 process?
It doesn't surprise me at all that those outsiders and quasi-outsiders are doing so well. People are so tired of the status quo, recognizing that the status quo, it's got to go, because it's what's gotten us into the mess that we are. A bankrupt nation, a less secure nation. Look at the votes that have been taken by Congress to increase the debt ceiling, to approve of Obama's huge budgets that grow. There's no end in sight, to the financial problems of our government. So anybody who's had a part of that, the people are leery of, and as well they should be. So it's the outsider. It's those who are willing to buck the system, take on the GOP establishment, because the establishment in so many respects has been part of the problem. So it doesn't surprise me that these folks are doing so well. And, every candidate has awesome positive attributes. They also have flaws, because man is fallible. And I think what people are recognizing too, Kevin, it's kind of cool. It's a great awakening, I believe. But people are realizing we can't put our faith in a politician,
right,
or a politician promising some new political or government policy. That's not going to work. So it's a different kind of election, don't you think?
I think that everything we're seeing is demonstrating that. And I think the fact that Donald Trump came in and more or less disbanded the Jeb Bush super PACs, I think was one of the most interesting developments, because as Trump is kind of shielded himself and the rest of the field by taking all the bullets, you've had voices that would probably not have had the chance to come forward and to talk nearly as much, be heard. And so I think you're getting to hear Governor Christie on the issue of national security. You're getting to hear Senator Cruz on the issue of the importance of the Constitution, and Senator Rubio on why immigration is a complex issue and not a simple one. But I think that had you just had one prominent personality come in and with the ability of super PACs to do what they do, kind of shut down the rest of the debate, I don't know that any of that would have happened. So I'm actually more intrigued in this election cycle than I've ever been, and I'm not against Governor Bush, by the way. I think that you take our whole field that's running right now and you put them against the 10 or 12 best of the other side. I think we still would come out way ahead if we elected them as a cabinet. Unfortunately, our system doesn't allow us to do that. But let me ask you about the Trump effect specifically, because as a non-politician, what have you observed about his presence in the race that has been notable?
Well, early on, he started calling it like he sees it, and that's refreshing. That's candid. Some people have a problem with his lack of filter, but other people are saying, well, good. Finally some candidness out there. He's letting the public, he being able to kind of articulate what so many in the public are thinking anyway. That's good. And then at the same time, the important issues, though, that he was willing to bring up, namely immigration early on, illegal immigration, how it hurts our legal immigration system, how it hurts our job opportunities and the idea of competition in America, and on and on. He's the one who brought that up, essentially.
Sure.
And as you point out, Kevin, and that's a brilliant summary there, too, of the way things are going, where Trump has taken so many of the darts and the arrows that has allowed the other candidates to even look better in some respects, more, more presidential, some want to categorize themselves as, but they've been able then to get out there and speak about important issues like Rubio getting to educate the public on what these super PACs really are. And as he pointed out, Hillary's greatest super PAC is the mainstream media.
Yeah, no kidding.
Along with all the money, of course, that's donated. But anyway, so Trump has been valuable in that respect. And I agree with you. The lineup that we have there in the GOP, I'm extremely excited about it, about each individual. And when I hope the other candidates will hear you say how valuable that Trump's participation is in that respect, allowing them to get their message out there, because they're not taking all the darts and arrows that he is. Well, hopefully they'll hear that and they'll really, okay, then we can quit beating each other up then and wasting our ammunition on one another. We got to save it for Hillary, because she will be the one. Ammunition, I say, just, proverbially.
I don't know. You're a hunter from Alaska. You big game hunter. Right. Speaking with Governor Palin, Governor, let me ask you about because you served as a governor of a large state, landmass wise, and the discussion of the governors being put upon by the president's refugee policy. What are governors trying to sort through, and why is this such a difficult pill for them to swallow from the gubernatorial perspective? And actually, Governor Palin, hold on, because the music means we got to take this commercial break, pay some bills, come right back, get the governor's perspective on the Syrian refugees here on the Kevin McCullough Show. All right, Kevin McCullough, Governor Palin, the refugees and the weight on governors. Your observation?
I think it goes back to our Constitution, because governors are very aware of states' rights and of what our founders intended when they created a federal government to restrict government and what, say, a president would be able to do to an individual or to a state. And the states were given much greater powers. Individuals, of course, the greatest power, but then states, great governmental powers, and then feds very minimally were they to govern and infringe on our rights and in our life. So the governors, and I would be doing the same thing. I'd be saying, hey, wait a minute, Mr. President, you don't understand the Constitution, and for being a constitutional scholar, what a joke. And B, you cannot force upon a state something that and what's going on, Kevin, is he, as an individual, he just personally wants to see this happen. He's not going through any legislation that will allow such a thing. He's not funding what is going to be needed in these communities and states to take care of refugees. And as governors, they are the last line of defense when it comes to this national security issue that is being caused by unvetted refugees, quote unquote, coming on over.
Yeah. And the national security implications of this we haven't even touched on, but if we know that they infiltrated the groups heading into France prior to Paris, it should be something that we're all paying attention to now.
You would think so. I was on the Seth Meyers show a couple of weeks ago, and Seth, bless his heart, so wrong in a discussion that we had on the air on his show. He said, why are governors so worried about just accepting all these refugees coming over? He says, making me kind of look stupid. He says, don't you know the feds have an 18 to 24 month vetting period that goes on before people are able to. I said, no, Seth, don't believe the feds. If they're telling you that, that's not what's going on. These folks are going to be open doors, come on in, regardless of background. There's no way to vet them as being promised. So, I just wish that obviously liberals would open their eyes, get smart, especially those in the media, and not swallow everything that the feds are telling them.
Yeah. Well, Governor Palin, I was one of those that cheered like a madman when Mr. McCain named you to the ticket. And I thought that you brought a lot of spunk to the debate nationally. And I'm glad to know that you're still out there talking and putting things into play. Friends, the book is called Sweet Freedom. It's a devotional from a study of some 260 meditations based on verses from Scripture that apply to natural, normal, practical, and political life in America today. And it's published by Regnery, Sweet Freedom, a devotional. Regnery Faith published it this year, and I encourage you to pick up a copy. Governor Palin, your time is valuable. Thank you for spending some of it with us today.
Thank you so much. And keep in mind that the book is written very much in layman's terms, so easily understood that even I can absorb it and learn from my own writing. So thank you, Kevin, so much.
Governor, you are truly one of the cheeriest people that has ever stuck her neck into the bloody, ugly, muddy mess that is politics. Thank you for not letting it get you down.
Amen. All right. You too. Thank you so much, Kevin. Keep up the great work.
It's the Kevin McCullough Show.